The end is near. For now. Today, we close out the third. Today, we close out the third phase of our MCU crash course. So far, we've met the Avengers, Iron Man, the Hulk, War Machine, Black Widow, Thor, and Captain America, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, Gamora, Rocket, Star-Lord, Mantis, Nebula, Drax, and Groot, as well as Wanda Maximoff, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and the Black Panther. Now, we venture through the final 5 of the 11 installments in Phase 3. Making up the selection of Phase 3 is Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, and Spider-Man Far From Home. First up, Avengers Infinity War. Picking up from the post-credits scene of Thor Ragnarok, the citizens of the now destroyed Asgard all live on a giant spaceship that Thanos and his companions board. He's looking for the next in his collection of Infinity Stones that control the universe. Loki, in another heroic turn, tries to kill Thanos, but Thanos snaps his neck and kills him for good. Hulk tries to help, but is no match for the Infinity Stones. Heimdall dies too, but not before sending Hulk to Earth, where, as Banner again, he can warn Doctor Strange about Thanos. After recruiting Tony to help them, they discover that Thanos has been killing half of all life on every planet to restore balance, but is now trying to kill half of all life on every planet all at once. By just snapping his fingers with the stones, Thanos would have full control over the universe. Because of the events of Captain America Civil War, though, the Avengers are scattered. Some of Thanos' soldiers come to New York to get Doctor Strange's Time Stone via a giant spaceship, which Peter Parker notices. He and Tony climb on board and decide to use the ship to find Thanos. Meanwhile, Banner finds Captain America, who's with Black Widow and Falcon, being attacked for access to Vision's Mind Stone. Vision, who's fallen in love with Wanda Maximoff, offers to sacrifice himself so Thanos can't get the stone. But Cap suggests that Wakanda might be able to get it out of him instead. Meanwhile, the Guardians rescue Thor, who's floating through space. He's able to point them to nowhere, where Thanos is likely keeping the Reality Stone. Gamora wants to go and stop Thanos, but Thor wants to get a new hammer after Hela destroyed his in Thor Ragnarok. They split up. Thor makes Stormbreaker, and the Guardians watch Gamora kill Thanos. But it's only an illusion, and Thanos kidnaps Gamora, the only one who knows the location of the Soul Stone. Threatening to further torture her sister Nebula, Thanos convinces Gamora to tell him where to go, and he kills her for access to the stone. The Guardians team up with half of the Avengers to defeat Thanos through the one solution that Doctor Strange sees working. But Star-Lord gets upset when he finds out that Thanos killed Gamora, and he's able to escape. Doctor Strange gives up the Time Stone, and the other half of the Avengers, along with Bucky Barnes, keep trying to get the stone out of Vision. But they can't. When Thanos attacks with his soldiers, the team works to defeat him, and Wanda is forced to kill Vision so Thanos can't get the stone. Thanos, though, reverses time and kills Vision again to get it. He places the last stone in his gauntlet, feels the power surging through him, and gets stabbed in the chest by Thor. Alas, Thanos can still snap his fingers, and he erases half of all life in the entire universe. Those that remain have no option but to just watch. Thanos takes up farming, looking out on his beautiful creation, and Nick Fury sends out a last-minute page before disappearing himself. Next, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Scott is under house arrest because of Captain America Civil War, and Hank and Hope Van Dyne are on the run because they gave him the Ant-Man suit. So, Scott learns close-up magic and sets up a security company. One night, though, he has a dream about Janet Van Dyne and the quantum realm. He's able to reach out to Hank to tell him and apologize for getting them in trouble, and Hope soon kidnaps him. Scott's dream opened a quantum tunnel, and the three work together in a shrinkable lab to make a stronger one and save Janet. After a black market dealer that sells Hope a part for the tunnel double-crosses her, she dons her new Wasp suit and fights him off. but gets attacked by a quantum-affected ghost. Scott is able to save Hope and depart, but they lose the lab. The team meets with a former colleague of Scott's at the University of California, Berkeley, and FBI agent Jimmy Woo, assigned to keep watch over Scott's house arrest, chases them there. Our heroes realize that the original Ant-Man suit might have the solution to create the tunnel, but they hid that suit in a trophy that Scott's daughter Cassie brought to school. One daring heist later, the team tracks down the lab and are able to communicate with Janet through the tunnel. The FBI finds out, and Scott rushes home to make it seem like he never left, but Hank and Hope are arrested, and the lab is stolen again. Scott breaks the two out of jail, and they rescue Janet. Scott rushes home again, so his house arrest can be lifted, and Hank and Janet move into a beach house that Hank had hidden. When Scott goes back into the quantum realm to get more particles, though, Hank, Janet, and Hope all get dusted after Thanos' snap, leaving Scott trapped in the quantum realm. In a post-credits scene, a giant ant plays the drums. In Captain Marvel, we travel back to the 90s to see Kree warrior Carol Danvers struggling with nightmares of her past that her mentor Yon-Rogg helps her keep under control. While working to take down the shape-shifting Skrulls, though, she's kidnapped and sent to Earth. This attracts S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Nick Fury and, very briefly, Phil Coulson to her, and Fury helps Carol find out what in her past she's missing. When Fury realizes that his boss is really a Skrull pretending to be his boss, though, he helps Carol escape in a jet with her not a cat that looks like a cat named Goose. Traveling to Louisiana, they meet Maria Rambeau, who used to work with Carol in the Air Force. When a Skrull finds them, he tells them that they mean no harm. They're just refugees looking for a place to live. The Skrull tells Carol that the source of her powers, and the reason she can't really remember her past, is a crash where Yon-Rogg killed scientist Mar-Vell. The four search for the destroyed experimental light-speed engine of the jet, and Carol is captured. Shedding her power dampener, she's able to harness her full potential and escape. When Fury saves Goose, though, it scratches his eye out, hence the eye patch he wears in present day. Carol sends Yon-Rogg away, and decides to help the Skrulls find a place to live, giving Fury a pager to use only in emergencies. Fury creates a new initiative to find more heroes like her, that he calls the Avenger Initiative. In some post-credit scenes, Captain Marvel arrives in modern day looking for Fury, and Goose regurgitates the Tesseract. Rejoining Earth's mightiest heroes for one final time in Avengers Endgame, we find Hawkeye, who wasn't in Infinity War, watching as his entire family gets dusted. Meanwhile, Tony and Nebula drift through space in a ship, and Tony records a message for Pepper in case he doesn't make it back. Luckily, Captain Marvel finds them and brings them to Earth, and the Avengers set off to kill Thanos, who used the Infinity Stones to destroy them, meaning that his work cannot be undone. Thor cuts Thanos' head off and leaves. 5 years later, everyone tries their own way to cope. Scott Lang ends up back on Earth and, after finding out what happened, suggests that the quantum realm could help them travel through time and pre-stop Thanos. Unfortunately, Tony is the only one who would know how to do that, and he refuses. He's retired and has a daughter, having no interest in heroism anymore. After seeing a picture of the dusted Peter Parker, though, he changes his mind. Banner, who merged with the Hulk, helps them test time travel, to mixed results.
It's baby.
It's Scott.
As a baby.
He'll grow. I see this as an absolute win.
The Avengers reunite, finding Thor, who has fallen into a depression, and Hawkeye, who has become a vigilante named Ronin. Hawkeye successfully travels back in time, and the team plans out key moments in their past to collect the Infinity Stones. Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk, and Ant-Man go back to the Battle of New York from the Avengers to find the Time and Space Stones. The Ancient One gives them the Time Stone, since she knows Doctor Strange wouldn't have given it up without a reason. But 2012-era Captain America thinks that our Cap is Loki. After a fight of the Caps, our Cap takes the Tesseract, but 2012 Loki is able to steal it and teleport away. Tony and Steve go to 1970 to get the Tesseract and more pin particles, which allowed them to time travel in the first place. They get both, but not before Steve sees his long-lost love, Peggy Carter, and Tony runs into his dad. Thor and Rocket, meanwhile, go back to Thor the Dark World, where they get the Reality Stone, and Thor's mom is able to tell him that he's still worthy even in his depressive state, before Thor takes 2013 Thor's hammer and leaves. Nebula and Rhodey hop to the first Guardians of the Galaxy, where the consciousness of our Nebula and 2014's Nebula get intertwined, showing 2014 Thanos what the Avengers are trying to do.
They're not trying to stop something I'm going to do in our time. We're trying to undo something I've already done in theirs.
Black Widow and Hawkeye get to Vormir to find the Soul Stone, and Red Skull, who guards it, requires that one of them sacrifice themselves for it. After a battle back and forth, Black Widow sacrifices herself, and Hawkeye gets the stone. Putting together a new gauntlet, Hulk is able to bring everyone back, but 2014 Thanos attacks the compound. Thanos, knowing that his first plan failed, now wants to destroy everything to start from scratch. So, our heroes fight, but they're outnumbered. Suddenly, though, basically every hero in the MCU shows up to help. A massive battle ensues. Captain America is able to wield Thor's hammer, but Thanos still has the gauntlet, and snaps his fingers again. Only, this time, nothing happens. Unbeknownst to him, the Avengers stole the stones, and Tony was able to put them in his suit and snap the entire army away. The heroes win the day, but Tony Stark is dead. The energy too much for him to take. His friends and family mourn him, and Thor passes control of New Asgard on Earth to Valkyrie, choosing instead to travel with the Guardians and find himself again. To ensure that the flow of events progresses as it's supposed to, Steve has to return all of the Infinity Stones that they stole back to where they came from. But after he leaves, he doesn't come back when he's supposed to. Bucky does notice, though, that an old man is watching them from a bench nearby. That man is none other than Steve, who seized the chance to finally live out a life with Peggy Carter. Steve passes the mantle of Captain America onto Sam Wilson, and the saga comes to an end. Until the final film of the phase, Spider-Man: Far From Home. Nick Fury and Maria Hill respond to a peculiar storm brought about by the Earth Elemental. Luckily, they meet Quentin Beck, who is able to stop it, and Fury invites him to work with them. Meanwhile, Peter Parker is about to go to Europe on a class trip, struggles to adjust to Tony Stark being gone, and worries about how to tell his classmate MJ that he has a crush on her. Happy Hogan tells Peter that Fury wants to talk to him, but Peter's not interested. When the water elemental attacks Peter's classmate in Venice, he's able to stop it with the help of Beck. Afterwards, Fury gives Peter a pair of Tony's sunglasses that have an AI embedded in them, with control over the Stark Industries database and weapons arsenal. And Beck explains that 4 elemental creatures destroyed the parallel universe that he's from, and are trying to destroy this one as well. Fury asks for Peter's help in destroying the final fire elemental in Prague, but he says no. He just wants to go on this class trip. Fury then changes the trip's itinerary to go to Prague, and Peter helps destroy the elemental with Beck. Beck's skills make Peter feel a touch inadequate, and Peter gives him the glasses. Once Peter is gone, Beck reveals that he's not really a hero at all. He's a disgruntled ex-Stark Industries employee who's using advanced special effects technology to fake these villains that he's pretending to save people from to be seen as the hero he believes himself to be. MJ somehow knows that Peter is Spider-Man, and the two discover a broken drone projector from the battle. Realizing that Beck is a fake, Peter tries to find Fury, but Beck stops him. After surrounding Peter with an onslaught of unnerving and disheartening illusions, and finding out who else knows that he's a fake, Beck gets him hit by a train. Peter is able to get help from Happy, while Beck plans a fake, large-scale attack to kill Peter's friends. Peter, though, is able to stop him and destroy the drones, though not before one of them kills Beck. In the aftermath, Peter and MJ kiss. In some post-credit scenes, though, J. Jonah Jameson from thedailybugle.net shows a doctored video clip that makes Peter look like he murdered Beck, right before he broadcasts Spider-Man's secret identity to the whole world. And Fury and Hill turn out to be Skrulls in disguise, while the real Fury is in space working on a mysterious project. This ends Phase 3, and brings the Infinity Saga to a close. The Multiverse Saga comes next, but that's still being made. So, to recap the entire Infinity Saga, Tony builds a suit of armor to become Iron Man. Banner gets injected with the failed Captain America serum that makes him the Hulk. Rhodey, as War Machine, can pilot an Iron Man suit, and Natasha Romanoff is Black Widow. Thor falls in love with Jane Foster, and Steve Rogers was given a super soldier serum and fought in World War II before waking up in modern-day New York. They all come together to form the Avengers, and fight off Thor's brother Loki. The Guardians of the Galaxy are created, with Gamora, Rocket, Star-Lord, Mantis, Drax, and Groot. Thief Scott Lang becomes Ant-Man. The Avengers meet Wanda Maximoff, and Tony's AI goes rogue, lifting the city of Sokovia into the air. The UN? Not a fan of that. So they introduce the Sokovia Accords to supervise the Avengers, leading to a giant fight about it. Stephen Strange goes from arrogant neurosurgeon to master sorcerer. Spider-Man joins the Avengers and comes into his own as a hero. Thor meets Valkyrie and becomes king of the now-destroyed Asgard after Odin dies. T'Challa becomes king of Wakanda and announces the nation's presence to the world. Thanos kills Loki, Heimdall, Gamora, and Vision to collect the Infinity Stones, and the Avengers team up to stop him from destroying half of all life in the universe. Alas, he does anyway. Scott breaks house arrest to help Hank and Hope Van Dyne save Janet Van Dyne from the quantum realm. Captain Marvel works with the shape-shifting Skrulls to take down Yardrock. The Avengers travel through time and undo Thanos' snap, but Natasha sacrifices herself, and Tony Stark dies after a massive battle by snapping himself. Thor leaves New Asgard with Valkyrie, choosing to travel with the Guardians, and Steve returns all of the stones back to where they came from before living a life with Peggy and passing the mantle of Captain America on to Sam Wilson. Peter Parker goes on a class trip to Europe and realizes that hero Quentin Beck is a bad guy using drones to fake threats, but is able to destroy them, though not before one of them kills Beck. Beck reveals Spider-Man's secret identity to the world, and Fury and Hill are Skrulls in disguise, while the real Fury is in space working on a mysterious project. Over the last decade, the universe has continued to expand, and our heroes have continued to protect it. Thank you for joining me for this MCU crash course.